and most welcome. Today we will discuss reinvention mindset and self-improvement. Our guest today is Lorri. Lorri McDowell is the founder and CEO of Reimagine You Strategies. She is the author of the Reinvention Mindset. Lorri is passionate about helping individuals find joy in the world and reach their full potential. Let's welcome Lorri to the show. Lorri, tell us how we're doing today.
Yes, hi, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Very
All
happy to be here.
right. So tell us a little about yourself, your life story.
My life story. Okay. Well, I'm actually a chemical engineer by degree, and I
Mhm.
worked in industry for about 30 years. And a little bit less than a year ago, I was actually fired from my job in a rather horrendous manner. It was a surprise to me. And after that firing, I mean, I was actually fired. My company made me drive 4 hours to a meeting. And when I got there, they fired me and told
Mhm.
me I had to drive back home. So on that way home, I had a really, very lot of time to think. And I decided that I didn't want to work in corporate America anymore. I wanted to do something that was more fulfilling. And I decided to write the book I always wanted to write since I had time now. So that's when I started writing the Reinvention Mindset. And then after that, things just took off and I just started the coaching and training and speaking program. And I'm now spending my life helping people who are in positions where I was, where they're in a job, they didn't really like it, but rather than wait for something to happen, like they get fired or something bad to happen, I help people try to make changes to bring their life more joy.
Okay, so where did the reinvention mindset come from in your book and with you?
Right. Yeah. It came from, as I started writing the book, I was thinking about people who inspire me. And a lot of the people who inspired me are people who have had something really tragic happen to them. And instead of falling apart, they reinvented their life and did something amazing. Like one of the women I interviewed in my book was diagnosed with MS, and at one point she was in a she was in her 30s and she was in a wheelchair and she was in constant pain and she thought her life was going to be horrible. But instead of just giving in, she decided to do everything she could to try to cure her symptoms. And she turned herself basically into a human guinea pig. And she looked at nutrition and all kinds of, holistic treatments and therapies. And she basically cured her symptoms and then decided to start a nonprofit to help other people suffering from the same. Another person I interviewed, they lost a child to cancer when the child was only 2 years old. And instead of falling apart, they started a nonprofit to help other families with childhood cancer. So these people inspired me, and I started trying to figure out what is it that enables them to do such amazing things when other people, something happens and they fall apart or they just can't really get over their life. And I found that people had a lot of things in common. And I found I had a lot of these traits in myself to help reinvent yourself and get over, restart your life when something happens that you want to change it, or when you're stuck someplace and you want to do something different, and how to make that change.
Yeah, that's true. That resonate with a lot of people that some of them say that raising from the ashes. So, but most of them are cannot be able to do that. So, what is the whole message of your book and your work?
What the book in my work is we look at it's really that your mind is a lot of what causes you to have these problems. So it's really your mind that um, your mindset is what really keeps you stuck. And that if you can change your mindset and start to believe in yourself and start to face your fears, start to realize that you're not alone, that there's some kind of, that people can help you, that there's some kind of a higher power that can help you, then you can start to overcome almost any obstacle and you can find joy in your life. So
Exactly. So there are a lot of people writing books in this theme. So what is unique about you?
I guess one of the things that's unique about me is I actually started writing this book when I was 60 years old. So I reinvented myself at a time when most people are thinking about, you know, leaving work and not doing anything. So I can show people that, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's never too late to change your mind. And, you know, the one thing, the book, it's stories from my life. So no one else has the same stories. And I think I looked at it in a very, somewhat scientific, but also a very holistic, really looked into the mind. I mean, I've, started since I've written the book, I've started studying different coaching techniques and found that there really is some science behind how you can change your life, and that, what you believe is reality is truly what you can make your own reality, that it's not what others see what you believe, so that you really do have all the power and all the choice.
So as an example, what is that, those processes that you take somebody, or you can just name some of those strategies that you wrote in your book and you people should take it.
Yeah, some of the strategies are really like a mindset shift where we actually look at, I mean, the program I use typically has 3 steps. The first is I call discover. And it's where you look deep in yourself and you figure out truly, where do you want to be? What are your goals? What makes you happy? And you discover why you want to be there, not just, the superficial whys, but deep down inside yourself, is there a reason why you want to do this? And you then have to look and see what's keeping you there. Is it someone else? Is it someone else's beliefs that's keeping you there? Is it your own beliefs? Is it some trauma in your past? And we try to discover like what is holding you back. And then the second part I call conquer. And that's where we kind of look at all the skills you need to conquer those beliefs. So use some neuro-linguistic programming techniques. I use just a lot of just exercises, mind shift work, things to really get to know yourself and just see, to face your fears, to figure out what's holding you back, and how to get through that, and to kind of I teach people some of the tools to get through that. So like, that fear is really just a thought, that it's not really, it's an illusion. It's a thought. It's like something to spur you into action. And once you learn that, the opposite side of that thought is success. So if you can just face that fear and see it, you can see success. So, and then the third part is breakthrough. And that's where we really, you really try to get deep into figuring out, okay, how do I get over this and go where I want to go? And that part's really a journey. It's not something that happens once. It's something that you have to, over and over again, you have to commit to it and believe in it, and just keep going. But it's not really the end, it's the process. And in the process, most people will find their fulfillment, they'll find their joy, they'll decide, what do they want to do? Do they want to stay in the job they're in? Do they want to do something different? Do they, they really find everybody's unique, everybody has something different, but people can figure out what it is that really makes them happy, that brings joy to their life, that makes them feel fulfilled, as opposed to just living in someone else's idea of success, which is what I think most people do.
So our audience may ask this question, that what does it feel to reinvent yourself at 60s?
It feels really, really good. It feels really exciting. I feel like I have energy now, like when I was, when I was a child and I had all the dreams and all the possibilities in the world. And that's how I feel now. So I really don't feel, like my age is irrelevant, because I just see that there's so many things that I want to do. I'm thinking about, my next book and what I'm going to do after that. And just really, it just feels amazing. I mean, every morning, I don't even have to set an alarm anymore. I just wake up when I'm ready to wake up, because I want to get started. So,
Hmm. So do you believe that everybody has a life mission or purpose? Because if we see today, everybody is just busy as the movie rat racing, and they're just chasing something and there's a big fear behind everything. Although they have everything for survival, but still there is a big fear. We cannot judge what are those different fears that they have. But overall, what do you recommend for those who don't know what to do, just following what the workplace or the industry giving to them? And do you believe that the life has a purpose or not? Like, I mean, individually for everybody.
Right. I do think everybody has a purpose or at least a path on their life that they don't have to follow it, but they have a path to find true joy, true fulfillment, and to really live their best life. And I think most people don't look for that. They figure, okay, I have a job, I have a salary, I have a house, I'm doing okay. And they settle for that. And that's really one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book, because I think there's so much more if you really don't settle. I mean, if someone, and for some people, that's exactly what they want. That is their purpose. They want to have, what society says, a house, 2 kids, a family, and a 9-to-5 job. I mean, that for some people, that does bring them joy, and those people have found it. But for a lot of people, they do it just because they feel like that's what they're supposed to do. And I mean, I did that for 30 years. I never really stopped and thought about, am I really happy here? I mean, I was content, but I wasn't really happy. I mean, I never really felt like, wow, this is my life purpose. This is something I really want to do, until I started out on my own. But I was successful. On paper, it looked like I had a great job. I had a good salary. I had a good family. I lived in the suburbs in a nice house. So I was doing well, but I wasn't really completely happy. I always felt like something was missing, and I was never really satisfied. I always wanted a little bit more and a little bit more. But I think everyone really, does have, if not necessarily a purpose, but has the ability to find their true fulfillment. And it's not necessarily like a place. It's really more of a path. Like if you keep saying, I'll be happy when I get here. I'll be happy when I do this. I'll be happy when I do that. You're never really going to get happy, because it's not really that you have to get to some place. It's that you have to follow the path that's meant for you and follow what makes you happy, and just keep learning new things and keep experiencing new things. But I do think it's possible for everyone if they're willing to, take that leap and look for it.
So did you experience personally, if there is a voice within you, or there's something that you have to follow to find your purpose in life, or some other recommendation?
Yeah, I think it was really, it was a little bit, like I said, when I got fired that day, I was driving home, and I was angry, and I was scared, and I was upset, and all these thoughts were going through my mind. And then all of a sudden the thought popped into my head that I don't have to go to work tomorrow. And when that thought popped into my head, it was almost like an instant, like my eyes opened and my body relaxed, and I felt like I was almost floating. Like it was like, wow, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. And at that moment, I realized I have the power to do whatever I want. It's my choice. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I don't have to do anything tomorrow necessarily. And that was when that voice started talking to me about what I should do. And like I said, the books, I knew I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know what the book was about. And as I started writing, it just started coming out. So I think it was my intuition was basically telling me what to write and telling me where to go. And it's continuing to lead me on this path. So yeah. So, there is a voice telling me, but, I think the voice is inside of me.
Exactly. So what are some quick takeaways for the audience, some key things they can use today?
Let's see. The first thing is, if you want something, you need to really, really believe it's possible. You need to believe and know deep down in your heart that it's possible, because if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. So you need to, really get that belief and know that you deserve it, that you have to be open to receiving it and know it's possible. And that's really the first step, because once you start to believe it, once you convince yourself that it's possible, then anything is possible.
Mm.
And the other, I guess, a takeaway is to see what scares you and to really look into that. Look at, figure out why you have these fears, what the fears are. Look at, what would happen if the fears, whatever my fears are, what would happen if it happened? And kind of look at that and say, okay, so my worst fear came true. What would happen? And then once you list what are the things that would happen, think about the probability of them really happening. Will they really happen? And chances are the probability is very low. Most of them will happen. And then take that same question and turn it around and look at, okay, if I do whatever I fear, what are the best things that could happen and what are the possibilities? And really by facing that fear and looking at that fear and turning it around into an opportunity, it makes it a lot easier to face it and get by it and overcome the fear. And then the other thing I would just tell people is that, you're not alone. We are all connected. There's, whether you believe in God or the universe or source, there's definitely a higher power than us. And we're all connected as a community. We're all part of, every person on earth has a connection. And that there are so many people out there that are willing to help you if you just ask for help. So, help other people, but ask for help too, because it is available and it's very hard to try to do it on your own.
Mm. So thank you so much, Lorri, for answering a lot of questions today. Can you please tell us how people can find you and your work?
Yeah, sure. My book is not quite out yet. It will be coming out in May and it'll be on Amazon at that point. So once it comes out, May or so, you can look for the book at The Reinvention Mindset by Lorri McDowell. If you want to reach me in the meantime, and I'm happy to talk to anyone, but my website is www.thereinventionmindset.com. And I can be reached by email at lmcdowell@reimagineyou. That's you like the letter U.net. So reimagine the letter U.net.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, and thank you so much for joining us today on GNR Podcast. It was really illuminating to have Lorri McDowell share their expertise and insight with us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. Stay tuned for more engaging conversations. Until next time, take care.